Are you looking for any relationship advice? And you've landed at the right place. Hi, this is Toshi, where I bring to you all the gyan on love and relationship with our relationship expert, Sheetal Choparia. So in today's episode, we'll be discussing all about loyalty. So loyalty is the crux of any relationship, and you will find out whether your partner is loyal or not. Hi, Sheetal. Welcome to India.com. So loyalty is one thing which is the base and the foundation of any relationship. So what does loyalty actually mean to you?
Thank you so much for having me on this wonderful platform. And Toshi, it's an amazing topic because I really feel that there are so many youngsters and, they are buzzing with so many questions, and especially, being with relationship issues, because that is something which is very common, and most of us have it at any age. So age is not a number, especially when it comes to relationships.
Right. So Sheetal, in any relationship, the number one thing that, counts really is loyalty, as I already said. So, at times it gets very difficult for someone to trust, because trust builds loyalty around anything. So how can one, find out whether their partner, his or her, is loyal to them or not? Are there any signs with which you can, get to know?
So definitely, Toshi, there are these few things, and if you look at these parameters, it just becomes extremely easy to understand that your partner is in sync with you, and there is loyalty and there is compatibility. Basically, we have to look at a relationship in a whole and just not at one particular thing that we are talking about. So basically, when you see that the person is putting enough efforts in a relationship, that is one. Secondly, when he tries to understand you better and wants to know about you more, and allows you to talk and finds out more about your family values, what are your interests and things that you love the most. So that is there. Then it is more about emotional intimacy than just a physical intimacy, because that also means a lot out here. Because when you are in that phase, you want your partner to know your weird habits, your deepest, darkest secrets, desires, secrets, everything. So that is very, very important. So, these are a lot of things that, will go into this. And whenever there is an argument, we'll take a step back, try to understand that, why has this argument taken place, and, how can I rectify this thing instead of just giving up. The whole idea is that, when you are in a relationship and if the person is extremely loyal, they would not want, to give up the relationship so easily. Yeah.
As we discussed, that in a relationship, it is very important, to keep the person in the priority list, know about each other's inside and out. So that discussion, that involvement is very important, as you listed out. But, certain people have their own parameters around loyalty. For some it would be something, and for the others, it would be something. So is there a specific definition where we can, list out what exactly loyalty is, so that, if a person is facing some issue in their relationship, they can, get around those facts and figures and come to a point of resolvement?
So the basic thing is, when you talk about loyalty, it basically means being extremely faithful. Okay, and the first point of that would start from being true to yourself, first being loyal to yourself.
Right.
Okay. Because if you're not faithful to yourself, in the first place, it is going to be very difficult for you to be loyal with anybody. Right. So that would be the first parameter that I would take it as a, checklist. And then the other thing is it is very important also to understand that, it's about a plan that you and your partner has made, and to stick to it throughout, to be together, through all the ups and downs in the relationship, and, be there for each other. That is very important. And it also means that you do not have to have things like white lies and, get away with things, give up so easily. Those things should not be there.
Yes, because, what happens is that there's a saying कि आप अगर खुद से loyal नहीं हो तो आप किसी के साथ भी loyal नहीं रह सकते हो. So
Yeah,
it's that
that's
same
true.
thing. So to gain loyalty from someone also, you need to be loyal to yourself, and that's a give and take thing which generally develops. So Sheetal, there's, especially in the millennial phase, we see that infidelity is a thing which is much talked about these days, and it's a common factor that we've been seeing. So what is your take on that?
So basically, when I think about infidelity, it, usually comes to me as violation.
Right.
Because it's all about emotional feeling, the emotional sexual feeling of the couple. Now, most of the times when the person is cheating on the person is because there is a lot of anger, or there is jealousy, or there is some revenge the person wants to take. And at that point, this can take place, and I don't think it's a very good way of dealing with it in such a way, because what you don't understand is it's not only about hurting the other person, but in return the hurt and pain that you go through is so much more deeper than anything else, because you'll end up having so many scars to yourself plus the opposite person also.
Exactly, as you mentioned that a lot of people hide, and there are feelings of jealousy and everything. So is hiding same as cheating? That if you're hiding something from your partner, so is that also sort of cheating?
Yes, I would definitely think that anything where you are not open in a relationship, or you are not comfortable in a relationship, that would turn into cheating. Because you see, it is like accepting the person in the way the person is in the now. So when you are in the now with the person and you are extremely comfortable with the person, you would want to tell the person everything, and there should not be barriers or thinking that how is the person going to react or think about it, or is going to judge me. So if you're not going to have these factors, then it's going to be very, very easy.
Right, Sheetal. So, what are the first signs that if somebody in the relationship is going through a troublesome phase, or is guessing that the partner is cheating, or there is some disturbance in the relationship? So, what are the first signs as to you can understand that your partner is actually cheating on you or is hiding something?
So the few things, the alerts, you can say, the red flags.
The red flags.
The red flags will, so the red flags will start coming. Initially, the first step the person will start doing is trying to refrain from like being socially seen with you so much, trying not to meet you, trying to avoid you in all aspects by saying, I'm not feeling well, I'm not up to it, maybe I need some time, we'll go away, get away for a vacation, will not tell you things that, what's exactly happening in their lives, will try to become more secretive. And things like this, will have, going out with his friends, and suddenly you come to know about his or her whereabouts from other friends and other people. So, these are the initial things that you will start feeling, and then slowly you'll start feeling that his text will become monotonous, of just okay, yes, instead of a long text that he would write, or if there is a certain pattern that the way the person is writing would change.
Right.
And would reply after probably hours or days, or these are the initial patterns that the person's behavior traits will start changing, and you will start feeling that there are red flags and red alarms.
So Sheetal, in such a situation, how should one react? Should that person go to a counselor, or should go to the partner directly, talk about it, or go to friends or family? What do you suggest? That what should be the first step?
So the first step ideally would be to try and be upfront and talk to your partner, and try and explain and sit down and have your points very clearly, instead of becoming very argumentative or making the person feel wrong. It's not about wronging a person, it's about explaining the person that this relationship truly matters to you, and that is the reason you want to work this relationship out with the person. So the idea should be of basically having all your points correct on the table, trying and having conversation. That would be the first step. If the person feels that the person doesn't like a lot of confrontation, or feels like, that cannot face a lot of things, and feels it very uneasy to talk to you about certain behavior patterns that you are having, if they find you very pushy or bossy, or too much over than them, then the idea would be, second step is definitely going to a counselor.
Right.
Counselor, I would suggest. Why? Because there are two things. Because the person is going to be a mediator, which a person doesn't know his or her side, and will be a neutral person to talk about things, and try and bring some light between them if they feel that they are just parting too far away. Another thing is, if that you find that that's too much, sometimes some people find it very difficult to approach a third party and talk
Right.
about it, then you can use your best friend, or probably go to a family, a person, or elderly person who's seen much life. But here there is a catch out here. If you go to a friend, maybe there are chances that he or she would land up taking sides, and if it's a family member involved, it runs again on their
Exactly.
own
There are
pattern.
biases involved then it comes to that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so then they will have their own set of patterns, and
Right.
you would not want to go through that. So ideally, I would suggest the first step would be to try and talk things out, and second is, of course, the best would be to go to a neutral counselor.
Right. So Sheetal, there's another thing that we see that when it comes to cheating, or there's been a red flag in the relationship, and when it's a woman it's treated differently, and when it's a man it's treated differently. So it's sort of there is some gender biasness where everything turns out to be. So people look at women, are isne isko dhoka diya, and then with a man it's completely different how the world looks at. So what is your take on that? Because this is a very needed topic of discussion which needs to happen.
Surely. So the thing is that here I would like to bring in some light, and the most important thing out here is that we've been having this since ages and generations.
Yeah.
But now with the women changing and the world changing, and where now we see the women at topmost posting everything,
Right.
and it's the world has evolved. That now we have the thought process that a woman may just not land up getting married. It's no more about having children. It's no more about having a certain pattern. Right. That if she is not in the certain parameters or a pattern, then she is not acceptable to the society. So we're breaking those norms. So the ideal thing is that earlier it was a taboo, a clear taboo, when a woman would have a couple of relationships and they have not worked out. It would be called that she's the bad one out, because she's not been able to maintain any relationship.
Anything. Right.
But if a guy would have this kind of a situation, it would be like, oh, that's kind of a Mary. Every man has to taste a lot of wines before he gets to the right one.
Exactly. So, and also certain thing comes up ki arey ladki ki hi galti hogi types, a lot of things, these things also come in, because everywhere the woman is to be blamed by the society.
Blame. So now in this kind of a situation, I would feel that the woman needs to take a stand somewhere. So the first thing is, it should not matter what the world says. What ideally should matter is what you think for yourself. If you still respect yourself, if you respect your opinion, if you think you're right, and you did it because at that point that was the need of the hour, then trust me, there is no further explanation. And let people say, because it's only chattering and talking for some time. Right. Things clear when they start seeing that you have more focus, you are more achievable. So the idea is that I definitely think for all the women who feel guilt, that because it was set in our brain set, that there is this one man who's going to be sitting on the horse, and you have to get married, and it's an ideal situation for marriage, and love happens later, and then children, and it was a prototype which was given. Right. But now no more.
Right, Sheetal. Another thing that in the COVID we've seen that a lot of people have been into long distance relationships and everything. So loyalty in a long distance relationship is the crux actually in every relationship it is a crux, but in long distance where the person is in a different city and you cannot see each other quite often, and you don't know the whereabouts of the person. So how can one stay loyal and maybe find out if there is a red flag? How should that person react, and how should things pace up in a long distance relationship?
So, Toshi, I would like to add some amazing points out here. And the thing is that, in a long distance relationship, first of all, you have to remember that, your partner has to make you feel very comfortable, understanding that it's a long distance relationship, understanding that, that you both need to have complete faith in each other. That is going to be the most important thing out here, because there are two different cities, there are going to be two different time zones, because when there is night, there is day. So you are sleeping wondering that the person is gone to work and is not doing any hanky panky or anything. So the idea is like, in short things, if a person wants the other person to still be a part of your daily routine, it would be nice to send short messages, set up alarms, have common times to talk every day, or fix a moment in the week time. Try and make the communication more real. It's not about the time, it's about what exact time are you spending and how are you spending it, instead of just like saying that okay, whole day we are chatting throughout the day, but at the same time you feel that it's not that real. It doesn't make any sense. Every 5 minutes saying that okay, I've reached work and I've reached here, it just shows that you're very insecure. But imagine in a different situation, if I am basically having, say, the 2 hours, but the 2 hours are going to be making me feel that yes, I'm feeling so much more joyful and I feel completed. I feel that I know everything about that person. And the person is and the person is allowed to tell about his or her whereabouts
side of the story
without being any having fears or being scared, saying this that yes, yesterday night I was out with some girls or some business associates and it was lovely and we were discussing this and that, and we took some pictures. Give it a heads up beforehand, so the person is not suddenly into a shock, seeing those sudden pictures and going through, oh my god,
you didn't tell me. So that gives an insecure feeling to the other person sitting in a different city.
So if you have already discussed with your partner or land up saying that how is your day looking or how is your week going to be looking, and saying things that may change, or you may have some travel plans, so that your partner is way more aware about your life and things, and you can do small things still to be together by making small goals like okay, let's check each other's steps, motivate each other even if you are at a distance, and check on your health, check on all the things that you wanted to do as a goal in your relationship, and marking those as ticks that yes, this weekend I have done this much work, and your partner is going to check up on you and you are going to check up on your partner. So there is a way that you can bond beautifully. So because of internet and the media, we have made distances even more shorter, and we should take full advantage of those things.
Right. And so you mentioned that, small things really matter a lot in any long distance relationship or for a normal relationship also. But, the time that you spend does not matter, but the quality of time that you spend actually matters. And, involving the person into one's life, and not giving shocks or, or telling about the person, giving a heads up to that person so that, there is no insecurity. So where there is insecurity, then there will be loyalty issues indirectly, involved. So that you need to take care of yourself. And for any other relationship advice, we have Sheetal Shaparia who would be there to help you out, and you can directly connect with her. And if you have any issues related to your relationship or your personal lives with if you cannot talk to your friends or family or peers, then Sheetal would be gladly to help you and take your relationship to the next level. Thank you so much, Sheetal, for discussing all about loyalty in our first episode of Love. It was lovely to have you.